Hi! Today I want to answer a surprisingly common question about resumes. Is it possible to have too much experience on your resume? I'm Vida Thompson, a resume writer and career coach, and this question comes up a lot. It's important in all industries, but it might be even more important in IT and tech, as it's often a concern that years and years of experience may make a candidate appear out of date and maybe even unqualified for the job. So here's a few questions you should ask yourself if you're concerned with this question, along with some tips for what to do about it. So first question you should ask yourself, how long is your resume? So many clients ask me how long their resume should be. I see many clients who have long resumes that include every detail of work they've performed in every job they've ever had. While it's awesome to be proud of your experience, and you should be, there's such a thing as too much information. So my rule of thumb is to keep your resume to 2 pages. And if you feel like you must simply add more information, proceed with caution. You really should be able to describe your skills, jobs, and education within 2 pages. And if it's any longer, you run the risk of the employer not seeing your most crucial skills. Exceptions to this would include academic CVs. Those can be as many pages as they need to be, and resumes for really experienced executives who simply just can't fit in all of their relevant information on 2 pages. Keep in mind, most employers only spend seconds scanning a resume. You don't want an employer to scan your resume and miss the important details because they were reading about a job you performed 20 years ago. You want to highlight recent, relevant experience that will land you your dream job. Second question you should ask yourself, is the experience on your resume related to the job you want now? So as I just mentioned, lots of people like to include a lot of information on their resume. And that's great if you have a lot of experience. I totally understand that you want to include it all, you want to share it, and you really want to reflect the experience that you've had that got you to this point in your career. But you have to ask yourself, is this experience really relevant to the job I want now? And if it's not, cut it from your resume. And so what I mean by that is, if you're including experience from a job from 10 years ago that's all about customer service, and you want a job in management now, you don't need to include the details of what you did in the customer service job. So you really only want to include details of experience that you want to be performing in your new role. If you don't want to be performing those tasks, don't include them in your resume. Now, if you want to highlight experience from 10 plus years ago, so let's say there was something you did 10 plus years ago that is actually super relevant, think about ways you can reflect that experience in your more recent jobs, so your jobs within the last 10 years. So let's say you wanted to highlight project management experience you gained 15 years ago. See if there's a way to describe projects you've managed in your current role instead, so you can still talk about the skills you gained in previous roles, but just try to apply it to a role that's a bit more recent. This will get the employer's attention and seem much more relevant. The third question you should ask yourself, are there a lot of positions listed in your resume? So if you've only worked for 3 different companies in the last 20 years, then it's not a big deal to describe those companies and the experience you gained there. However, if you worked for 12 different companies, it doesn't make sense to include all of the positions, plus all of the details of the experience you gained there. The solution I usually recommend is adding an additional experience section. This section can include job titles, companies, locations, and dates of older positions. So they're still included, but aren't taking up a lot of room on your resume. This leaves more room for you to talk about your most recent, relevant jobs. So if you ask yourself these 3 questions regarding your resume and take a long, hard look at your experience, I think you'll find it quite easy to cut irrelevant, outdated experience and highlight only your most recent and relevant skills. Keep in mind that it's really not about having too much experience. It's about highlighting your best and most relevant experience and removing anything that might distract from that. Interested in learning more? I've got lots of links to my resources, lots of information on my blog, including a resume checklist that can help you figure out what's working and what's not working with your resume. So check it out in the description below. Thanks.